Hello, and welcome to the Tyrrell County Public Library's virtual computer class. I'm your host, Mr. Jared, and today we are continuing our series on Google Spreadsheets, and this is part 2 in that series. If you haven't seen the first video, I highly recommend it. We cover a lot of the basics of using Google Spreadsheets. And today we're going to hit something a little bit more advanced in terms of managing data and inputting data and the whole bit. So if you're ready to go, we'll get started. So as you can see, last time we left off with kind of our test graph going on here of inputting data, coloring the background, and putting links in there. As you can see, I've added a couple of tabs down here. Now, as you can see, the way you can add tabs is by clicking this Add a Sheet button. And you add a sheet. If you don't like where it's located, you can drag it over to here. And then you can double click on the sheet name itself to rename it. So we're going to rename this Test 2. And that's how you do that. We're going to go to Data Sheet over here. And as you can see, I have a bunch of data points that have been input into a little graphing area over here. So what you're going to first do is you're going to highlight the area of data that you want, and then you're going to go over here to called Insert Chart. So you're going to click on that, and then you're going to have a chart that pops up here. And as you can see, it has all of the different values listed here. Now I can double click on this, and it gives you options to change the font style of what it is. The auto style, you can change it to bold, or you can give it italics, however that you want. And you can change the text color too. So if I want to change it to blue, then I can change it to blue, or we're just going to keep it as the standard black. So we'll go back to customizing, and we'll go to this tab up here. So here is where you can do all of the different stuff for this. So we have right now a pie chart. You can click this drop down, and it gives you suggested different types of charts that you can use. So the ones that are most suggested for this are a pie chart, or a chart that has, a bar chart as well. Now, for here, we're not going to name this apples versus students. We can rename this to Apple Distribution. So there, we got that. And it should follow here. And you don't have to change it directly there. You can change it right there. Again, you can go and change the font style. You can change the size of it as well. So right now you don't have to stick with that. If you want it bigger or smaller, you can select that. But we'll just go with auto for now. And you can change the text color and, of course, all the different font signatures here. And you might prefer to put it into the center. I certainly do. The other things you will see in the customize style. So we'll hit chart style. Background is white. And then you have gray for the chart border color. Is gray. You can maximize. You can do 3D to give it a little bit of depth if you want to have it kind of as a depth sort of thing. Or you can do compare mode. And right now we don't have enough data in there to really compare, so we'll just deselect that. We'll hit that a little bit later into a more advanced exploration of this. Right now I'm just showing you the basics of how to input data and how to arrange it and how to label it. And if you need to create a graph for something, you can create a quick graph of that data. So here we have the chart styles. We were in the chart title, and we can click here, and we can have a subtitle. So right now it doesn't have a subtitle on there, but let's see what that's going to look like. So apples per kid, and so that would be under that. So you might want to say under the subtitle, like by Jared. Enter. And again, we can center that as well. So if you're doing this a presentation, you want to show what that is, you can certainly do that. Show who worked on it. You can say that I worked on this or something like that. Or you might add extra details, like if you get into more complex graphs per se, you might have stacked information here of comparing different data, so you might give a little bit more detail underneath. So cars sold in a year and then cars sold by individuals over time sort of thing, or something along those lines. Here in the axes, we have horizontal axis title, and right now the horizontal axis, or the x-axis, is students. We could change that text if we wanted. We have the vertical, which is apples, so we can either change it directly, or we can just go in and change it here. So yeah, that's your controls for the chart and the axes. Series, so apples, we have that. If we were to include other data into this, for instance, so I'm just going to get rid of this. We're going to delete this chart. And I'm going to add peaches. And we're going to add some other data points. So 9, 4, let's use that as an example. And now let's select these data points. Now we're going to go back to our chart here. We'll click on that. And here we have a comparative chart, as we were doing before. So we can have more than one data set here. So we go to our Customize, Chart Style, Comparative, we don't need to do that, 3D, Maximize, Minimize a little bit. Yeah, we got that. Chart Axes, and Vertical Axis Line. So it does not have a title, so let's give it a title. Fruit Distribution. It might need another data point, and you can add that over it if you were to like kind of have a merged data point over it. So that's how you would do that. But that's how you have enter different values in there if you're comparing things. And let's see what other things, what other fun stuff can we do. We'll go to chart style. And so the one it is right now, set up, column. Let's try this. So we got apples and peaches. Now pie chart doesn't really work for the data. We can do this as well, another type of bar graph. And we can do data points like that. Here we have our different distribution here that's all laid out here. So if we wanted to do a line graph, we certainly can. But we're going to stick with our traditional one that we have here. So let's go back to the Customize. We got our series here, and we're going to go back. Oh, we got rid of our titles. So chart style. Vertical axis, fruit, distribution. So there we have that. And then we're going to go to our series. So peaches are that color. Peaches we can change. It has an autofill. We can select different color that we want. We can create line dashes and say what axis. So if we wanted to change it, we could change it to right axes, which doesn't really, doesn't make too much sense. So we'll go back to left axes. And yeah, so we have all this different stuff, and you can add data points into here too. So yeah, error bars. So here, if you're working with stuff that's like, hey, that's within error, especially if you're working on like polls, you can have error bars and add a value here. You can do constant percent deviation like that. standard deviation, or percent. Probably percent would be most fitting. Data labels. So there, if you want to have your labels put into there as to what it is, you can certainly do that. Also, again, change your font, value, none. Let's see, and tread line. So we can put a tread line in there. Now, for this, it wouldn't really work too well. If we had a bunch of little data points all over the place, we certainly could do that and have a trend line that's put into there. So as you can see, you have all the full capabilities of editing your graph the way you need it to be done. And it's just creating rows and columns and putting your data points into there and arranging it the way you want. Now we'll go to our legend, position auto. So right now it's kind of at the top, so let's do right. Or we can change it to top, or we can do inside the graph as well. We'll do auto, which puts it towards the top, and that's fine. And we have our different themes that we can put in there. Again, some of the stuff that we already went over. We have our horizontal axis here. So right here, slant labels, so we can slant it 30 degrees. So here, we've slanted these a little bit if we want to give them a little bit of style and differentiate them, and we'll keep it at 30 degrees or so. And again, you can change it at 90 degrees, 60 degrees, 0 degrees, auto, however that you want. Reverse axis order. So Abigail's at the beginning, or John's at the beginning. Change the order in which they are. And that's that. Vertical axes here, kind of the same stuff. So from source, so we could do percent. None. We can put all different sorts of things in here. We can do scale, so especially if you're working with, so you don't have to type in over here. Let's say that John has 6,000 peaches and 9,000 peaches. Well, then just put that in there. And then it says scale factor for it. You can do that as well. And we'll just do default. So it avoids you having to put in all of the individual data points in here. You can do that. And then you can also manipulate it a little bit too. So let's say we're going to do -10, and we're going to do 60. And that way, if you're dealing with stuff that's kind of going into the negatives, especially if you're dealing with currency and stuff, then you can have stuff that appears at the bottom. So if we were to go into here, back to the data, and we were to, let's say that Jack has -4 peaches, because, you know, that just makes sense. And here it changes in real time with the changes that you do there. So we're back to here. And so there's a lot of fun things that you can do and change in here, and you have complete control over what's in here. I won't get too deep into it. I'm sure that you might be a little bit overwhelmed at this information. So I'm just going to finish off this stuff here in the customize area, and then we'll move on to something else. So here we got grid lines, horizontal axes, vertical axes. You can add that, horizontal axes, major ticks as well for each of the different individuals in there. But we don't need to do that. But just to show you what's here, we can do cross, inside, cross, outside. We'll stick with cross, but we don't need that so much. And that's essentially what that is. And you have here, you can actually move these around if you want, right directly into it. And arrange it the way you want it to be. So that's essentially what this is. You have a lot of control over these data points. Now you must be curious as to what this is. So we'll click on here. You can have edit chart, delete chart, download the chart as a separate document. You don't have to download it with this. So when you download it, you just download the chart. You can publish the chart to the internet, or you can copy the chart, or move to another sheet, an alternate text or something like that. You have all these little options here for downloading or rearranging the information of the chart. So it's a really great tool. And here you just grab onto it and you can just move it around where you need it to be. Now, the other thing, because any change that we do to here is going to automatically affect it, I'm going to copy this data here. So we're going to copy, and I'm just going to place this here, because why not? So I'm going to show you how you can play around with some of these numbers here by adding them up or averaging them. So I'm not going to throw too much at you. It's kind of the last thing that we're going to touch upon today because it's quite a bit of content we discussed a couple of minutes ago. So here, if you want to add all of your values that are here, you select the bottom square here where you want your information to go, and you select all of the numbers in that column. You go over to here to functions, and then you do sum. And so sum, in order to get sum to work, you can also type that into a specific square. So it comes out to 99, so we'll press enter, and that's where we want it. If we want to do a specific function, we'll do, let's say, sum, and then we do, to type it in, if you want to type it in, you would do F15 colon F23. And there you go. And that's how you can get stuff to go into different sections. Now, we'll get rid of that. Now we're going to do our average. Click on average, and similar to sum, you type in F15 colon F23. And our average is 11. So here you can select any square that you want those functions to go, and it will grab that range in which something is located. So here we have two ranges, two sums or two functions that are working. And so here between F15 and F23, we have two functions. One is doing a total of what it is, and another is doing an average of what's here. What's the average between all these numbers, and placing that over here. Other functions you can do is count, minimum, all that. And there's all sorts of different functions that you can do in here, and it gives you a description as what it is. So numerical average value in a data set, average weight, numerical. You can go through and see all the different stuff that's available, that you can select a specific range and place whatever that number is in there, and it's just the function that you do is you select what you want here, and you pick the square that you want to go. So I'm going to grab one just for an example. Let's go to, I don't know, math, and let's see. Or pi. And we'll do F15 colon F23. Not available. So it's not calculating that data set. So yeah, that's just an example. You can grab onto any of any of this stuff as long as it's compatible with it and it works with it. So yeah, that's how we'll do median, just to show you something that will actually work on there. So we'll click on median and F15 and F23. and our median is 9. And there you go. That's how you insert different functions into there, and you have a whole bunch of different options. We won't go over all of them. It's quite a bit of information here. I'm just showing you the basic, and the ones that are most commonly used are the ones at the top. So sum, average, count, max, min. That's all that this is here. So, that will conclude today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope that this was helpful and give you an idea as to how to work with some of the functions in this computer as well, in this program, as well as how to work with graphs. We will tackle more of this in the future to come, and there is quite a bit in spreadsheets to cover. So this may be a few videos that we'll go through, but we're going to give it to you in bite-sized pieces so you can take the time to learn a little bit at a time. And if you have questions, you can come to the front desk and ask us. So please be sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell button so you can stay informed as to the latest videos that we are releasing here at the Tyrrell County Public Library. Thank you again, and have a great day.